That's his own.
Bro.
Just a little bit of advice quickly to end. I love the honesty, but sometimes too honest.
Yeah.
Just be like, no, look, I've been in the league for 5 years. I've seen everything. I mean, they did a good job. I've seen it all. Give them credit, but we'll be back. Like, leave it at that. No, they had me baffled. I've never seen anything like it.
Turns out, we run guys through, and they're not moving. It's like they're in the zone.
So, but look, give the Lakers credit.
Yeah.
Lakers defense was phenomenal. 85 points, the lowest that Minnesota scored all year. All right. They won. Look, Luka was sensational, 31, 12, and 9. LeBron and Austin Reeves were much better than they were in game one. I get all that. But the Lakers won it with their defense.
Yes.
They won it with their defense. They only shot 21% from three. All right, so they weren't great offensively outside of that first quarter. And they were great in the first quarter, but offensively, and I'll get to that quickly, but the defensive approach, it was mental. Like it was almost a reverse of game one. Game one, the Timberwolves took it to the Lakers with the physical play, the toughness, the effort, and the Lakers did that this time. It was effort and physical play, all of that. I will say this about the offense, though. The offense was sensational in the first quarter.
And then not.
Right. But you could, if somebody wanted to say, well, I mean, that got them the big lead, and then the defense held it up. And what they did, well, here's what it was.
Okay.
They hit the sweet spot, because there's a sweet spot you have to hit between when Luka's cooking, but have him cook within the flow of the offense. And I give Reddit credit. A lot of times Luka was getting it. It wasn't really the elbow. It was up, extended above the elbow. But that elbow three-point line area, he was getting it there. They would like pass it to him. He'd get it there and then go into work. So it was almost in an offense.
Yes.
So he would get it, and there's player movement when he gets it. And so he's hitting guys with passes and doing this thing versus him just bringing it up court and going 1-on-5 and everybody watching. So they had a lot better player and ball movement. So that got them the lead, and then the defense sustained it. So very impressive if you're, for the Lakers.
Listen, the Timberwolves hit 5 threes. The Lakers hit 6. The Timberwolves shot 25 free throws, made 20. The Lakers shot 20 free throws, made 20. So those were almost a literal wash. The difference was the Lakers' defense, and the most impactful, most engaged, best defensive player on the court was the oldest guy on the court, the oldest guy in the league, and that was the story of the game from the opening tip. Luka was sensational offensively.
Oh, yeah.
And Luka was actually pretty damn good defensively. But the guy who you saw from the very beginning that was setting the tone defensively was LeBron James, and he also made the single biggest play of the game. The Lakers had at least a 9-point lead for the final 40 minutes of this basketball game. And there was a moment, though, in the fourth quarter when the Lakers could not make a shot that it looked like, oh, man, are the Timberwolves all of a sudden going to force a panic timeout and be right back in this down 7 after this possession where Luka got hung up in the air with just under 3 minutes left? Luka doesn't really know where he's going, throws it away, and then LeBron James against 23-year-old Anthony Edwards. Steal, through contact, layup, game over. 11-point lead, 2.5 minutes left. The Lakers were probably going to win at this moment. They were definitely going to win at that moment. And this is where I have gotten frustrated at times with what I feel is a double standard of the conversation when it comes to all-time great players who are asked to carry an incredibly heavy burden on offense and what we ask from them on defense. Because nobody in the last 5 years has said a mumbling word about Steph Curry's defense during the regular season. Because we're like, well, he has some size limitations, but also he is asked to do so much for that team post-Durant offensively.
Is that why, or is that he's never been a good defender?
Okay,
like that's really what it is. It's like we don't expect him to be. He's never been good defensively.
Okay, yes, I think that is part of it, but I also just think it's understanding. It's like, listen, that guy is their offensive engine. And he's older now at this point, so it's fine. Nikola Jokic, who has is the offensive engine, and aside from really a 12-month stretch of his career has always been an average or it's sometimes well below average defensive player, no one cares. LeBron James, when he had to be the offensive engine for the Lakers because that Anthony Davis wouldn't take that mantle, it was, well, yeah, he's putting up the numbers, but that Lakers defense, how much of that is on LeBron? LeBron, either literally saying it or implying it, has been of the standard of, I will do what the team needs me to do. When they traded for Luka, we heard people be like, well, LeBron's going to not have the ball in his hands. How is that going to work? And LeBron instantly said, okay, now I have more energy on the defensive end. Now I am better. My team needs me more in the corner at times on offense, letting Luka do his thing, and they're on defense, and he instantly can do it. And so despite the fact that he's obviously older than all these guys, has more minutes than all these guys. And so that, to me, has always been a frustrating narrative, as if LeBron had slacked off on defense out of anything other than necessity of he's not 30 years old anymore and can't be A+ on both ends. But it's always been there, and it's one of the reasons, Wilds, I believed the Lakers could have a better defense, not number one defense in basketball, but better defense than I think maybe you did post the trade, because one of the points you'd made is, who's the great defender on the Lakers? And the answer is LeBron James.
Great defender?
Was he last night?
Yeah, for one game. He's been good, really good, but I wouldn't call him a great defender.
I think that if he is not asked to carry the offensive load on any given night in playoff basketball, he can be a great defender, and I think we saw it yesterday.
He was great last night.
Yes.
I'm not going to call him a great defender at this point. And here's why I don't think what you said was accurate, because it was a compliment to LeBron that over these past few years people were saying he's not the same defender, because the numbers were the same.
Oh, I know he's not the same.
And so it was like, well, why aren't they winning? The numbers are the same. He looks great offensively. It was the defense. LeBron was at his peak, was an awesome, great defender and offensive player. So it was like we had a standard for him, and then we saw he wasn't living up to that standard defensively, so we just called it out. But it was just, like I said, Jokic, Steph, they didn't have that standard. Durant. Is anybody saying, oh, Durant don't play any defense no more? Because he was always okay, pretty good, at times good, but never a great defender like LeBron. So I just think that's what it is versus people like purposely ripping LeBron for it.
Okay. As for the Wolves, Ant's dunk was the highlight of the night for Minnesota, but it was too little too late as the Lakers got a lead and held on to it for almost the whole game. After spreading the ball around in Game 1, Ant had 0 assists, but he did have 25 points. Does Minnesota need more from Anthony Edwards?
100%. So Ant's last 10 playoff games, he hasn't cracked 30. In his previous, and he's averaging 23 on 40-36 splits. So basically from late in the series against the Nuggets through the conference finals and these two. For a little context, so his last 10, he hasn't had 30 once. His previous 12 up to that point, he had 44 times and 38 times. So it has been, yeah, and so listen, and that is, small sample size, and I'm kind of picking and choosing the moment, but it is, to me, a little noteworthy. But the answer to this question is unequivocally yes. And I applaud the Lakers for doing against Ant this game what I thought they were going to do in Game 1, which was not allow him to be a distributor. But where Ant needs, a little bit of critique is, because of how they are guarding him, he needs to be more impactful offensively from a scoring perspective.
Right.
If he's going to have 0 assists, which he shouldn't have 0, but call it 3 assists, then it needs to be closer to 35 than to 25. He is the best athlete on the court. That is, at this point in his career compared to LeBron, there's no question there. You saw it on the dunk of the playoffs, which was a remarkable play. The Lakers can't play their only big guy, Jackson Hayes, because I'm not certain he knows the rules of basketball at all times, so that works against him. And so he's got to be able to take advantage of it. And so everybody loves Ant because of his disposition. Brew, we was talking about that, the interview, that is, almost naive honesty that we like. But, yeah, they need a lot more from Ant if they're not going to be down 2-1 after Friday night.
I agree with a lot of that. But what really bothered me last night from him was he got off to such a slow start. And it wasn't that he was missing a bunch of shots. He wasn't engaged. Like, his second field goal attempt came with 2 minutes, 30 seconds left in the first quarter, down 25-10. Like, you can't let the game get away from you like that, and you're, as the best player, you're not taking shots. So I think he needs to be more aggressive right away. Now, maybe he's trying to figure out how they were defending him, but that was really the game, because from the second quarter on, I mean, he played well. Like, he finished at the rim. He attacked. They threw a lot of different looks at him. Sometimes they doubled him. Sometimes it was single coverage. They did have like a matchup zone appearance at times. And so they did a good job of mixing it up and maybe confusing him. I think the 0 assists, some of that is just they were missing shots.
Yeah, sure.
Three-pointers outside of him last night. He hit 2. So I think that was some of it. But I just my main thing with him was get started earlier, especially when you see the game slipping away. If you're up or if it's close, then maybe you can pace yourself. But when the game's getting away from you, you got to stop it as the superstar.
So the first quarter, the Lakers ran away with it. I'm going to show you a graphic and just ask you, is this something or nothing? The quarter second, 2, 3, and 4, Lakers only scored 60 points. I know you were big on, like, you want to see this big offense. It didn't happen. They actually scored a point less than they did in Game 1. So is this concerning for you?
Offense, listen, the Lakers' offense was not better in this game than it was in Game 1. It was the defense went from an F to an A- or an A. You said, Brew, it's the fewest points the Timberwolves scored all year. I also think it's the fewest points the Lakers allowed all year. Maybe I have that wrong.
I think that number. I think it's the first time they've won with scoring under 100, I think.
Yeah, a lot of the Lakers' offensive struggles is not a majority, but a piece of it is LeBron is in one of his traditional three-point shooting slumps. I say this every year in the playoffs, where LeBron's going to finish the year at 37% or 30. This year was 39%, whatever it was, from 3, without ever actually having a month where he shoots that, because he's going to have a month where he shoots 27% and then a month where he shoots 42%, and it will even out. And so that will get going. Austin struggled mightily early. He got a little bit going late. And so, yeah, and by the way, while the Timberwolves are not statistically as good of a defense as either of the teams the Lakers could play in the next round, they might be a tougher defensive matchup for the Lakers in particular because of the length that they have that the other teams don't. I want to say one other thing about the Timberwolves, but if Brew wants to talk about the Lakers offense, go ahead before.
No, look, I don't think it was a great win for the Lakers. I don't think if you're a Lakers fan, you're looking at this like, oh, we're good now. Like, this is going to be tough, because I don't look at, guess you're kind of saying the Timberwolves outplayed them over the last 3 quarters, which is fine. But
just 60 points is pretty low.
Yeah, because, I mean, usually if a team outscores you by 15 in the first quarter or whatever, especially in today's NBA, you see a rally where the team may come back and tie it even. We saw that with Golden State and Houston. And I give the Lakers credit for keeping them at bay. Right. Like, they kept trying to make a run, and the Lakers kept them at bay with their defense. But, yeah, the offense, I think it might just end up being that type of series for both teams, because they're both playing well. The Lakers played great defense yesterday, not Game 1.
So, yeah, I mean, they mentioned it during the broadcast that the Lakers, after being up 15-8, they hit a 3 to go up 18-8, and were up at least 9 every minute the rest of the game.
That's impressive.
It's incredibly rare. Yeah. It's incredibly rare to see a team never actually make a run where they're within 3 possessions. And so even if you keep the lead the whole time. I understand Ant's the star and Ant's the guy we care about the most on the Timberwolves. The player Minnesota also needs more from is their highest paid player, who has a scattered playoff history in Rudy Gobert. Now, Gobert's number, like, Luka is almost trying to pick on him, and Gobert is more than holding his own on those ISO matchups. So he's actually done fine there. He's gotten, clowned a couple times, but you look at the field goal percentage, like Gobert's done fine. Rudy Gobert cannot have 6.6 rebounds when the Lakers are the tallest guy they're playing is 6'8". He just can't. The rebounding number in particular is egregious. Like, I'm not saying he has to do to the Lakers what Steven Adams did to the Warriors in Game 1 or what Zach Edey was trying to do in the play-in game. But he needs to be more impactful in creating offense, even if he's not scoring, by getting second-chance points or getting on the glass.
He's been a downright liability.
He's been a huge liability in a series.
It's almost like you're going 4-on-5.
Correct. And so that's been a problem for them.
Okay. We are Game 3 in Minnesota. We're turning our attention to Boston. Tatum hurt his wrist after a fall in Game 1. Now he's listed as doubtful for Game 2. Celtics still favored by more than 10. And Tatum did say he was fine, but still a bit worrisome. What's your reaction to Tatum's doubtful status?
Well, look, obviously we all hope as just basketball fans that this is nothing serious. You feel like the Celtics are in a good position where you can sit him. If they win tonight, they go up 2-0. Heck, I mean, unless he's totally 100% or close, I would sit him for Game 3. Like, rest him as long as you can and let this wrist get back to 100% before you play him if you don't have to. Now, I think they will win tonight. Here's what's interesting, though. The Celtics were 8-2 without Jayson Tatum this year. The 2 losses were to Orlando. Now, this last one a couple weeks ago, the Celtics didn't even play their starters. But early in December, the Magic beat them by 4, and Tatum didn't play. But everybody else, Jaylen Brown and Al Horford, all these guys, everybody else did play, and Orlando beat them. And the Magic, in addition to being a great defensive team, are great at keeping the opponent from shooting a lot of threes. They gave up the fewest three-pointers made and the fewest attempted in the league. The teams attempted like 3 fewer threes against them than any other team in the league. And even in Game 1, Boston shot only 37 threes, and they averaged 48 a game.
Only 37 threes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, Boston gets a lot of their threes off of Jayson Tatum's ability to break you down off the dribble and drive and kick. So now you don't have him doing that. Yeah. Obviously, shooting the three is going to be a big weapon for them, and Orlando stops that. So it's just a little I don't think Orlando's good enough to enforce that. But on paper, you look at it like maybe it could get interesting if that plays out.
It's hard to repeat. That's my only listen. My only thought on this is
not traditionally.
Well, nowadays it is,
yeah.
And no, I understand that the NBA in the last decade we haven't had, or in the last 8 years, whatever it is, we haven't had anyone do it. The teams that have done it, and I'm not trying to start this argument, aside from, like, most of the teams that have done it have a guy that we look at as a Pantheon Hall of Famer that I don't think
I think all.
Well, it depends on how people feel about Isaiah Thomas. And you and I look at him as a Pantheon Hall of Famer. Absolutely. I think some people don't, but and so I'm not trying to start, but it made me think of Chris Middleton. And Tatum's better than Chris Middleton, but Tatum's also the best player on his team. And Chris Middleton suffered what was not like a playoffs-ending injury, but it was enough to knock him out of some games, and all of a sudden the Bucks' title defense ended at the hands, actually, of Jayson Tatum in his brilliant Game 6 and the team's Game 7. It's not that I think Orlando has any chance of ending the Celtics' title defense. It's that Jaylen Brown's knee is banged up.
Right.
Jayson Tatum missed.
And he wasn't great in Game 1.
Right, he wasn't great in Game 1. Now Jayson Tatum's going to miss a game. Like, it's just, those are, there is no reason, unless you believe in the Cavs more than I do, that the Celtics aren't going to relatively easily make the NBA Finals, except for things like this. And that's, you know what I mean? They are clearly, to me, the best team in the East. And unless they're playing the Thunder, they will have a better resume than any team they're playing in the finals. But it's hard to play 100-game season, and have everybody take everybody's best shot. That's my
fair. Counterpoint is, I'll ask you, Brew, as we go to break. Which team is best built to withstand an injury or an absence from their top player? Other teams fall off
it's
the
Boston.
map.
Probably, yeah, Boston.
It's Boston.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but again,
if he were out, let's say he was out for the rest of the postseason, I'm not picking him to win the East.
No, if he were out for the rest of the postseason, I wouldn't pick them to win the next round. But
That'd be interesting.
The Boston
The
Celtics
Knicks?
without Jayson Tatum are not.
Pistons?
They play in the Pacers, right? Or no, they're playing Knicks Pistons.
Yeah.
My bad. And so I
don't think it'll get to that.
You seem to think they would win. I agree. Well, hopefully it doesn't.
No, I mean we're just guessing, but no, I think they can.
You think they will
win
the East without Tatum?
I think they're a very deep team.
They're a very deep. Well, that's.
I think they got Peyton Pritchard's there. I'm ready to start. If you guys, 6-man, I can turn into.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.